And we're going to start by talking about Liverpool. Some strong words from Jurgen Klopp following the draw with Shrewsbury. Before we get into that, we're going to sort of dissect it and break it down. We can show you the team that started in the match. So this was away to Shrewsbury. Now, a lot of talk about how Liverpool, their priorities this season, they've been absolutely fantastic in other competitions. What do you make of this starting lineup that started the game yesterday?
I don't have an issue with it at all. You've got a squad of 25 players. Play who you want. You know, that's purely down to the manager. That's why he's got a squad. These players need an opportunity in some games. That squad, that team, is good enough to beat Shrewsbury. Simple as that. And clearly, Jurgen Klopp thought that. They were 2-0 up. They should have seen the game off, should have seen it out, and they didn't. So I think the manager has the right to play any team that he wants to play.
You agree with that, Carlton? That team, that starting lineup, strong enough to win that fixture?
There's a lot of it. There's a lot of inexperience in there. But Shrewsbury, you've got to respect Shrewsbury's team. You obviously think that was a good enough team to field to go out and get the win. They almost did.
That was a stronger team than played against Everton, though.
Yeah, but
in the last round.
But those players want their manager on the sideline giving them the boost. They'd probably beat him if he was there. Do you know what I mean? Because it would have given them the boost to go on and perform in front of the manager. I don't know if the manager was watching. We don't know the ins and outs of it. But for me, you do need the manager there. If I was a peripheral player, I'd say I want to go out today and prove a point. And you've got to look over to the bench and see the manager standing there to give you all sometimes.
Paul, can you understand Jurgen Klopp resting players, given just the amount of fixtures they've had this season in all the competitions? They were in Qatar as well for the Club World Cup. Can you understand where he's coming from resting certain players?
Oh, 100%. Honestly, as Danny said, I'm with Danny. That was a much stronger team than beat Everton.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, you've got to rest these players. They're going for the Premier League for the first time in 30 years. I mean, that team should have been good enough, no disrespect to Shrewsbury, to beat Shrewsbury. You know, and they started well, and obviously at the end they sort of faded, and that probably just shows you the inexperience. It's hard, you know, when these lads are playing in under 23 football, and then you get the step, even though you're playing against, I think, League One Shrewsbury.
Yep.
I mean, League
16th
One.
16th in League One, yeah.
16th in League One. It's still men's football. Still men's
But I
football.
don't know about you, Merson. I got my opportunity in the League Cup when lots of changes were made.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. That's how you get your opportunity as a kid. Very few kids are thrown in to a Premier League game, you know, from the start. Every now and then, but it doesn't happen. It's the cup games where you get the opportunity. The man goes, oh yeah, he's done all right. I can trust him. And maybe you get another go in the next cup game, and then all of a sudden there's an injury, and you might get a go in the first team proper in a Premier League game. So the manager's got every right, I think, to pick whatever team he wants to pick.
Yeah, speaking of the manager, so Liverpool's FA Cup fourth round replay has been scheduled for February the 4th. Now, that is during the Premier League winter break. And Jurgen Klopp said this after the game, that we will not be there and it will be the kids. I know that is not very popular. He says, in April 2019, we got a letter from the Premier League where they ask us to respect the winter break and not to organise international friendlies or competitive games. We respect that. I said to the boys already 2 weeks ago that we will have a winter break. So that are the stories that are grabbing the headlines, Danny. Where do you stand with that, and what do you make of those comments from Jurgen?
Again, I don't have an issue with him playing the kids. That's his prerogative. It's a squad of 25 players that you've got to pick from. If he wants to play the kids, that's entirely up to him. If they're not good enough and they lose and Liverpool go out the FA Cup, then that's his decision. But the manager not being there, I think he's trying to make some kind of point, but I think he's gone too far. I think he's being disrespectful to those under 23 players. Does the manager really need a rest, physically, mentally? He's not going to switch off. Can he not fly in for that one game and actually just be there at Anfield? I think if I was a kid, you know, and it might be my debut, I want to impress the manager. I want to look over and see the manager there. I want him in the changing room. Even if he's not taking the team talk, and it's the under 23 manager, Neil Critchley, that's going to take it, that's fine. But I think Jurgen Klopp has to be there. I think it's disrespectful to his own players more than anything else. Forget about the competition.
I think it's disrespectful for the players that will be playing.
Without a doubt.
Right.
You're the manager of Liverpool Football Club. These players are playing for Liverpool, and he can't be bothered to be there because he needs a break. Give the players a break by all means. Physically, mentally, they need a rest. Come on, you're not telling me Jurgen Klopp needs one day off. He can't fly back in from wherever he is and then fly back out again to support his team, to support his young players. Imagine the boost that they will get if Jurgen Klopp is there and he comes in afterwards, pat on the back, well done, son, you were brilliant today. They're not going to get that.
Paul, do you agree with Danny there? No, don't take issue with the squad. It's more that the manager's not there.
Play whatever team you want, but the manager not being there, I don't get that in the slightest.
I don't know if the manager's already booked something for his wife and kids. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. And I managed it lower league. I managed it Walsall. It was hard. It was hard. And this lad's working under pressure every week. I don't care what anybody says. I know this team wins. It's hard work. You don't switch off. It's 25 hours. There ain't enough hours in the day for a manager. He needs to switch off. He does. You know, has he booked an holiday and he's promised his wife and kids? I don't know, and it's backfired. I don't know, and he's got the ump after the game. He's gone, I ain't going to be there. And now he might be sitting there thinking, shouldn't have said it like that.
Do you think he might be now, looking back at that?
I don't know. Is it one of them where he's having a dig at the Premier League, where they're going, you know, we're going to give you 2 weeks off, and now all of a sudden we've got a cup replay? Again, why didn't anybody think of this? You know, Tottenham, Southampton playing.
I get all that,
exactly.
and I get he might have booked something, but,
I mean,
but to not be there for his team, for his young players,
you know what?
I just think that's poor. I think Jurgen Klopp's brilliant, and he's been fabulous for the Premier League. He's absolutely brilliant. He's been, you know, a breath of fresh air, but not being there for your young team, I don't get that in the slightest.
So
he can, whether he's on holiday or not, wherever he is in the world, he can fly back for that one game.
I think he might retract that statement. I think he might be there, you know.
You think you think Jurgen Klopp still might be there, following on from those quotes that you said only yesterday?
Well, he might have been emotional yesterday because he was thinking he was going to get it over the line in normal time, and it's not happened for him. So I think he might see that he was a bit too emotional. I might have to retract what I said later on. Hopefully he does that for the respect of the players and the fans.
Jurgen Klopp, manager's got to be thick-skinned. Jurgen Klopp's more worried about winning the Premier League. Yeah. I'm not being horrible here, but he's not worried about some kids coming through at the moment. He wants to win the Premier League, and he'll think of himself and he'll think of his team. And if he needs a rest, he'll have a rest. He's been all over the world.
You're manager of the football club, and it's one of the.
I tell you what,
it's one of the greatest football clubs.
Ask the 15 or 16, 17,000 people behind the Kop and the 40,000 that turn up every week, and the millions and millions that are around the world who haven't seen this team win the league for 30 years.
Yeah.
I tell you what,
but they won
whatever Klopp says will go. They won't. They won't.
No, they won't. But I think they've won.
They won't have.
But I think as a player myself, as a young player coming through, the whole point is you want to impress the manager.
I mean, if he doesn't go, I'd like to think he'd sit down with the players and tell them what his reason. Do you know what I mean? I think he might turn around to the young kids and say,
but he's not done that, has he? He's come out straight after the game and gone, I'm not doing it.
And that's where I think he's probably thought, he's emotional. It like that.
Yeah. Just going back to what Carlton said there, Paul, that he thinks he still might retract that statement and be there. Can you see Jurgen Klopp being in the dugout for that match? No. Or do you think he'll stick with what he said yesterday?
I think he'll stick with what he said. In my opinion, I think he's the manager. The one thing he's got to bring the Premier League home. I know we're saying he's won it, and I think he has won it. I mean, it would be the biggest blow of all time in football terms. You know what I mean?
They've got to lose 7 or 8 games.
Yeah. 7 or 8 games. They don't look like losing one, if I'm being honest. But I still think I do think he needs a rest. I know people will say, he does. When he goes home, he'll be thinking, he's already thinking next season. He's already thinking of players. Who can I improve? But you know that, Merson,
when you take on the job as a manager, you know that's going to be the case. You know in England, you don't really get much of a break.
But he probably thought, you know what, we've got a 2-week break.
Well, play a stronger team and make sure you beat Shrewsbury.
Yeah, he probably did. He's 2-0 up, you know what I mean?
Make sure you beat Shrewsbury, and this isn't an issue.
I think he's got the ump. I think he's got the ump, and he's
got the ump.
But at the end of the day, whatever Jurgen Klopp does, believe me, the Liverpool fans will be behind him. 100%.
Where does it stop then? So next time it's like, well, actually, it's a cup game. I don't fancy that. I'm not going to go at that one.
I think it's disrespectful for FA Cup as well.
Yeah, it sets a dangerous precedent. Man United got slaughtered when they played in the Club World Cup, and they didn't play, did they? You know, they pulled out of the competition. Yeah, they couldn't really help that at some point. Obviously, Liverpool decided to play in the Club World Cup and played their kids in the League Cup. The manager, he was still there for that. The manager can still be there.
I mean, you've only got to look at the other week. I mean, Watford at home to Man United in the FA Cup, It's a massive game for Watford. It's live on the telly. They're playing Man United at home. They make all their changes. And they just summed it up for me. It just, we're all saying about Klopp, but look at Watford. It doesn't. The be and end all is at that end that you win the league, and at that end you stay up.
But if you're the figurehead, you're the manager, you're the head coach of the football club, you've got to be there for that game.
Carlton, let's pick up on your point. You think it's disrespectful for the competition?
Yeah.
You were saying.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest standing competitions in football.
Yeah.
And obviously you got to look at it like, is it turning into Mickey Mouse? Like obviously you've got.
Do you think it is?
I don't think it is. For me, I think you've got to attack and go and get the FA Cup and go and bring that home. It's still a trophy. Although his priority will be the league, definitely. But don't disrespect the FA Cup.
And he said in a lot of his interviews, as a kid, he used to love watching the FA Cup. Yeah. And it was a massive part of what England was all about. And one of the reasons he wanted to come to England was because of the FA Cup. And now he's gone, irrelevant, not bothered. And I don't like that. And it's, like I said, it's for the players. I think he should be there for his own young players coming through, to support them, be there for them. There might be a kid scores a hat-trick.
Yeah.
And his manager's not there to see it. How does he feel off the back of that? I don't think that's right.
So you're saying you don't think it's right? Do you think this is his reputation is sky high? They've been phenomenal this season. They're the team to beat.
Unbelievable.
Did you think this will be damaging to him in any way then, Danny?
Not as Merson, not from Liverpool fans, because
you think Liverpool fans will be fine with it?
He can walk on water as far as they're concerned. But I think everybody else will look at it, and he's been so good with the media. When you look at other managers, how they've got it wrong from time to time. He is so media friendly. He is so affable. He is just absolutely brilliant. This might just change one or two neutrals' perspective on him, I would say. Yeah.
Do you agree, Paul, with that?
It wouldn't on mine.
Right.
It wouldn't on mine, but I can understand what everybody else is saying. I can, but not for me. Not for me. I don't see why he can't have a break personally. I mean, he's going to watch the game wherever he's in the world. It'll be on the telly, or he'll watch a video when he gets home. He don't go to every under-23 football match, that he ain't playing.
But it's a first team game.
But they're all playing. They're playing. The under-23s are playing in it, and he'll watch the game.
They're playing men's football against men.
Yeah.
He needs to see their.
Does he need to see it?
You can't see everything on TV.
No, but does he need to? I mean, exactly.
I think for the sake of one day or one evening, he doesn't have to take the team talk. He doesn't have to do any of the tactics. He can leave that to Neil Critchley and let him do everything. But I think as the head coach of the football club, he should be there. Simple as that.
Carlton, as a former player yourself, all former players of course, as a first team player for Liverpool now, how would you react? Would you want the break, or would you want to be playing in every cup competition, including the FA Cup?
I would want a break, to be honest.
You want a break? Okay.
I'm not going to lie to
Very
you.
honest.
But if it's being offered, being offered, I'd want a break. Yeah. But I think the way the break is that obviously the replay is kind of messed it up for him. So now he should have won that game. Now he's not going to get that break that he wants. So
well, it's only him who's not getting the break, because the players are. Yeah. The players will. He'll know. None of them players, none of the big hitters are playing in that game.
I have to remember, they've been told they can't go to the Far East. Yeah. They've been told they can't go, I think, to America.
They've got boundaries.
So they've got to stay within Europe. So he's only going to be a 2-3 hour flight away. Now, you can't tell me Liverpool haven't got a private jet that can fly him in for the game,
I don't think the team...
It's 7 hours, of his life, isn't it?
I'd be shocked if the team were going away. I'd have thought he'd have just said to the players, I see you in 4 or 5 days, or 4 days. I think then they can go wherever they want. And that's where he probably was going somewhere, but...
Yeah. If he's got kids, they'll be at school.
It brings up another issue.
I'm sure if they go to school in Liverpool, the teachers will understand. You know what I mean?
That's a fair point. It brings up another issue, though, about replays. A lot of people in the media and social media have been talking about replays, whether they think it's beneficial or detrimental to the FA Cup. Where do you stand, Carlton? Do you think replays should still stand? Because a lot of fans of lower league clubs will say it's a huge opportunity for them, for gate receipts, to go to big grounds. Do you think replays should stay?
Yeah, for exactly that reason. It's an opportunity it's a cash cow for the League One teams or the League Two teams, or even some of the lower Championship teams. It helps generate money. So I think that always should be an avenue. I understand there's far too many games sometimes, and especially if you're a Premier League team, and then you need to get some points on the table, but you've got the FA Cup that's in the way. I understand that part, but for the replay for the up and coming teams that want to do well in that cup and trying to generate money, it's massive.
And
for
it's a
them.
huge opportunity for players that might never play at a huge stadium
massive,
as well, to play at a stadium.
I think you've
Well,
got to leave replays
it's the
there.
money for the clubs. I
Yeah.
mean, not enough money gets stripped down to the lesser teams. And I've said I can't remember how long, it was probably when I was manager at Walsall, when we got drawn in the third round of the FA Cup away and cost us more money to get there than what the crowd was. I forget who we were playing. So I always think whoever's the lowest team in the actual thing, they play the top seeds. Away. And there's your
Or
money.
even draw it.
Draw it, but just say bang.
Man City last year were the champions. They play the lowest team from last year in the league.
Yeah.
And then you just do the draw, whether it's home or away. And that keeps everybody happy. Maybe you bin that about round 5. Or you take away replays.
You only need it in the third round, don't you? So they can make
third and fourth round, you do that.
Some of these clubs, you could be. Let's take a team off the top of my head, Stourbridge Town. Yeah, I don't know where I got them in from, but Stourbridge, who would probably have to go through about 7 or 8 rounds to get to the third
qualification
round.
rounds.
If they got to the third round and played Port Vale away. No, that's like a bit of a derby. Let's blow that one out. But
Where is Derby?
Say they played Millwall away.
Yeah.
Where there's not going to be a lot of fans there because Stourbridge are going to Millwall.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they're losing money and they've just gone through all them rounds. They should be the lowest seed. They play to Man United.
You could get rid of replays if both teams are in the same league.
I
Or
think
same
I think
division.
like last week, teams like Southampton and Tottenham get together and they go, do you want a replay? And the away team have a choice and they go, yeah, we want a replay. Or they go, no, we don't. We want to finish it here
So
and
you want
now.
an option?
I think if you're
two Premier League teams,
if you're in the same division, gate receipts aren't going to be wildly different. You're not going to make that much money.
No.
It's an extra game. If you're in the same division, you can just say, right, okay, no replays for that.
if the away team agreed to it,
but for the lower league clubs,
It's the money.
for Shrewsbury especially, half the incentive of drawing that game was to go and play at Anfield.
Yeah.
You're taking that away.
And you've seen a lot of chairmen and people down the years say that they'd rather a draw than a victory to get the game receipt, very honestly, because of what it does for the club.
That has kept a lot of clubs in business. But Mercy's right. If they changed it completely and top seed plays bottom seed, and then you maybe have a draw for home and away, at least then the money would start to filter down. It would spread it around, guaranteed to spread it around a little bit more. That's a decent idea. I get that.
Years ago when I played, the League Cup, it started off with a 2-legger against one of the lower teams. So you played home and away.
I played in that. We played Torquay home and away.
Yeah, so you got to a lower league team got to play one of the big boys home and away. So they made their money, and then at the same time they got to play at one of the big grounds. Which was a good idea, but that was too many games in this day and age.
It boils down to money at the end of the day. That's the bottom line, and I
And
think
the name of the game is to get the money to the lower teams.
That's
for
the
the
main
FA
thing.
Cup. It's not for Man City to win the FA Cup and get £1 million out
But
of
the
it.
top teams are always going to win it.
Yeah, of course they are.
By the time
Yeah.
you get to the semi-finals and the final, I think 3 times in the last 30-odd years, it's been a team outside of the top 4 in the league. When that was Wimbledon, like Portsmouth,
Wigan,
didn't
they?
Yeah, everybody, even Everton when they were winning it in the 80s, were sort of in the top 4, weren't they? So apart from that, it's generally a top team that is going to win the FA Cup.
Yeah.
But those early rounds is all about those smaller teams coming through, getting that big draw, and that can often provide finances for the next 10 years and keep that football club in business. And we always talk about how strong our pyramid is, how great it is that we've got so many divisions and there's so much support. Well, then surely, if you're going to tweak it, at least tweak it that way in favour of the smaller clubs.
You're right.
Yeah, so the other part of this debate, as well as the replays, is of course the winter break. So for those who are not fully understanding how it is going to play out in the Premier League, we can tell you exactly now. The Premier League match day will be split over 2 weekends. There'll be 4 games on the weekend of February the 8th and 9th, and 6 matches from February the 14th to the 17th. So clubs can go abroad for training camps, but tours to the USA and Far East will not be allowed, meaning that clubs can get between 5 to 13 days off, depending on the replays, because the likes of Southampton, Spurs, Newcastle and Liverpool do have those replays that have fallen within the winter break schedule, Carlton. So for those clubs, it's not they've got games within that winter break. So was that the point you were making earlier, that the scheduling is
it's just all
not
about
ideal, should we say?
Yeah, it's not ideal, the scheduling, because if you said to me that I was having 2 weeks off and all of a sudden I'm like, I haven't, but I had to win that game, then you start to look at certain things differently. But it is what it is, and I think going forwards, they just have to deal with it. It's just all it is.
It's not even It's not even a proper winter break.
No.
It's one. It's
like
one
a split winter
no,
break.
It's, no, it's not. It's one. If you're the team, it's one weekend off.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, Merce, you've been a manager. We've all been players. You're likely to get Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday off. You'll be in Thursday, Friday. You might get Saturday, Sunday off, and then you'll be back in Monday as a normal week.
But you wouldn't get the whole week.
No
You
chance.
won't get 1 week
Players
straight
won't
on.
be trusted
No way.
because tours aren't allowed to go to the Far East and USA. But there's nothing to say that individuals can't go away on holiday. And then you start thinking about jet lag and the time travelling. Can clubs police that? I mean, it gets complicated. So players are going to get 3 or 4 days off. They'll be back in for a couple of days, and then they might get another day off or a couple of days off the following week.
They would
and that'll be it.
probably not want the break and finish the season a week earlier.
Yeah.
So they can go away before the European Championships or the World Cup. Because usually these players now, the season finishes and they're bang straight in again.
Merce, a lot's been said about the winter break and it being helping for people's physical, mental well-being. Do you think it is needed in the Premier League, a winter break?
A longer winter break. I just don't think this 2 weeks.
It's irrelevant, isn't it?
As Dan said, it's
one week,
because it's
one
not a
weekend.
proper winter
no.
break.
No, it's 1 weekend off. It's
Germany
1 weekend.
have 3 weeks?
This could happen, right? This could happen. We could have this break, and then we could get a snowfall, and all of a sudden it snows, and then there's no games the following weekend. You know, because there's ice around the grounds and it's dangerous. I know the pitches are all right, don't get me wrong, but the grounds outside they're dangerous, so the games don't play. Then we play another midweek game, so we haven't gained anything.
If you're a manager, you want
so you need longer.
You want 3 weeks really between games. So you can go to the players, right, there you go, 5 days off. Go and get yourself some sunshine, come back, have 5 days of training, then have a weekend off, and then back into a week, and then the game the weekend.
Then they can go to places like La Manga for a 5-day
You
training
need
again,
you need
a little pre-season again.
You need at least 2
days.
weekends where there's no games at all. Simply. And someone said, why do they not play sort of Saturday, Wednesday early on in the season? Because often at the start of the season, it's very much like Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. Or get rid of that ridiculous international break, which happens in what? End of August, September?
Yeah.
You know that one
September.
right at the start of the season.
September, about 3 games in.
Yeah.
And play 2
So
Premier League games
that's
then.
what you would do.
That's a nonsense international.
Rescheduling.
And a lot of the time that's friendlies, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, it's friendlies.
That you play in. So get rid of that, play 2 Premier League games then, and then you can have a proper winter break looking towards a tournament, obviously later on the following summer.
And we talk about the players' mental, physical well-being. Would you think it would benefit the English national team as well if there was an extended winter break? Because that's another argument that has been discussed. Can you see an extended winter break benefit in England?
I don't think it will make a difference, to be honest. I think the players turn up, they know what they've got to do. And plus, like Gareth Southgate, he wants to get that club feel. So he wants the players in as much as possible to get them galvanised and get them gelled together. So for me, I think it won't affect, I don't think it will affect the national team.
Okay.